Hi, David here. Today we're going to have a look through the rules engine built into Clubman. And this is really what makes Clubman unique, because the rules are what makes your club unique. With the rules engine, we can configure all of the particular unique rules that your club has, or your club constitution, or your booking rules, to make the booking system fit your club exactly. So we can see here that rules have a few different components by having a look through some of our example rules. So they first have a booking range, which is when the member is actually going to be staying in the lodge. They have a created range, which is the period during which the member is actually sitting down to make the booking. And these two things are the first things that get evaluated. So we say that if the booking is within range and the time that the member's sitting down is within range, then the rule is in scope. We then go on to consider the trigger. So the trigger is something that you can create and configure. In this case, it's anybody that has an outstanding or overdue balance. And then if the trigger evaluates to true, if we trip it, then we go on to the action. So in this case, the action is to deny that booking. So the result is that all balances must be paid in full before making additional bookings. We say that if a member has an outstanding balance, then we deny any further bookings. Similarly, we've got a demo rule down the bottom here, which is that weekend nights, Friday and Saturday, cost extra. So this is always in range. We say that in the trigger, if it's a weekend night, then we double the cost of that night in the booking. We could easily change up these periods to say that, well, maybe this rule only applies during winter, or only during peak winter, say. Or we could clone this rule and say that, well, in peak winter, it's going to be double cost, but during summer, the cost may only be 1.5 times. You can see that with an unlimited number of rules, an unlimited number of triggers and periods and actions, we can get really fine-grained on how we configure both whether bookings are allowed or denied, the cost of the bookings, and all kinds of other sort of subsidiary actions that we can have based off bookings. So let's create a new rule now. We're going to say that during booking round 1, so the first period during which members are allowed to book into the lodge, we're going to have a maximum of 2 non-member guests per night. Let's go and make that happen. First, we're going to need to add a new trigger. Add that in here. We're going to call this max 2 guests per night. You can see we've got a lot of different conditions that we can toggle on for each individual trigger here. And by default, these are all configured in an OR pattern. So if we tick multiple of these, for example, we could have, max nights or max weekend nights. This trigger would trip if either of these evaluated to true. We can change that to an AND by ticking this all conditions must be met box, which means that if all of the ticked conditions are true, then we trip the rule. Now there's a lot in here, and this list does grow from time to time. You've got this little help button next to any of the triggers that'll give you some more information about exactly what they do so that you can find the right one and think about how you're going to set up your rules. The one that we want today is max associates per night. So we'll toggle that on and then save. And then we'll set the variable. That's going to be 2. So what we're saying here is that on any given night, one particular booking member can bring no more than 2 non-member guests. Save that in. Now let's go back and set up the rule. I'm going to add new rule. First we're going to give it a name. Maximum 2 guests per night during round 1. If a booking has nights within, we're going to say this applies during winter. And for when the member is sitting down to create the booking, we're going to say during round 1. These are both custom periods that we've created for this individual club. We'll have a look at the specific dates on those in a moment. The trigger is going to be a maximum 2 guests per night that we just created. The action is going to be to deny booking. We've also got here a priority order. This controls the order in which the rules are evaluated, so that if we need to, we can get really fine-grained about what order the rules apply in and how certain actions may stack against each other. For now, we're just going to submit that. Great, that looks good. Let's Go back and have a quick look at our list of rules. It gives us a really nice overview of all of the rules that are currently configured for the club. We'll have a look at our maximum 2 guests per night during round 1. You see that the booking must be during winter. So for this club, we've said that runs from the 18th of June 2021 through to the 12th of September 2021. And this is for bookings created during our booking round 1, which is the first 2 weeks of February. So from the 1st to the 15th of Feb. The trigger is that we can't have any more than 2 guests per night, and the action will be to deny the booking. So now let's go and test this. Let's make sure we've done it correctly. We're going to create a new booking. And because we're logged in as a club administrator here, we've got this little toggle up here to show the admin only fields. Now this gives you all kinds of power over the bookings that you can create as an administrator. So this is really useful for situations where you've got a booking that is outside of your normal rules, but may have been approved by the booking officer or by the committee or whatever it is that applies specifically to your club, and you want to do something that's outside of the normal rules for some reason. But here, we're going to use the simulation feature. So this is where we can say, we're not actually trying to make a real booking, but we want to pretend that we're a given member making a booking on a given date to see what our rules do. So here we're going to say, we're going to simulate as if we're sitting down to the computer during booking round 1. So it's going to be during February, say Wednesday the 3rd. And we can get quite fine-grained with our periods as well. They can start and finish at particular times. So let's say we're doing this at 9:30 in the morning in the Sydney time zone. Now we want the booking to be during winter so that we trigger the rule we've just created. So let's say we're going in August sometime. We'll arrive on Sunday the 8th. And we'll depart on the following Friday the 13th. Say we're going to be booking as Alice. So Alice is going to be the one sitting down to create the booking. And then we're going to bring 3 associate members. So we'll take along Janine, Jeremy, and Sandra. So these 3 are all an associate member class. So if we've done everything right, this booking should be denied. Good news. We can see here that the booking has been denied, and we can see exactly why. So booking denied as rule maximum 2 guests per night during round 1 has been triggered. The booking contains more than the configured number of maximum associates per night of 2. So as the member who's making the booking, we can see here that our booking has fallen outside of the club's rules, and we get an idea as to why. You can add extra warnings into your actions. You can change the name of your rules so that it's going to be more meaningful for your particular membership base. But here we can see, okay, we've got more than 2 associates. Let's go back and fix that. Let's say that, sorry, Jeremy, we're not going to take you along on this trip. Let's toggle our simulation back on. Let's reset our dates. Again, we're in from the 8th, and out on the 13th. So now we're still during booking round 1, we're booking during winter, but we've only got the 2 guests now. So let's make that booking. That's great. We can see that the booking's been accepted. We can now pay for it. Obviously, we're in a simulation mode here. But you can start to see how you can get as simple or as complex you like with all your different rules. You can have periods that nest within one another, that overlap each other. You can have triggers with multiple conditions. You can have actions with multiple actions to be taken. So have a little bit of a play around the rules engine. Have a bit of a play around with the different trigger conditions. Have a look through the different actions. Use those little help buttons to see what's possible, and figure out how rich and involved you can get with configuring your club's rules within Clubman. And of course, at any time, we're 100% happy to assist you through this process. If you've got any questions about the best way to reflect a particular club rule in Clubman, or you're not quite sure how you'd go about doing something, just let us know. Hit this help button down here, send us an email, and we'll get in touch and talk it through.